Hey, WRC fam. Are you a school counselor looking for support and mentorship? I've launched the Well-Rounded Counselor Facebook group. There, you'll find lots of encouragement and community from counselors all over the world. You can join the live trainings where you can connect and learn from myself and others. It's a safe and private group, and only you have to answer a few questions to join. I'll leave the link down in the show notes. But what are you waiting for? Join today, and I'll see you in the group. Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the WRC podcast. It's always so lovely to have you join me, especially on this journey as the podcast expands and evolves. I love hearing feedback, and wherever you are listening from, it's always amazing to see how this podcast is reaching people all over the globe. And just a little reminder, it literally takes 5 seconds. You can press pause in just a second and leave me a review on Spotify. When you leave me a rating, it helps spike up the algorithm so Spotify knows to inform people and get people listening to this podcast. It can suggest it to other listeners. So I would greatly appreciate it if you could just pause this episode really quickly and come right back and leave a rating. It really will help me, and I would truly appreciate it. Now, today I'm going to be discussing work rituals. Let's get into today's topic as I began thinking about this around the new year. Like, what do I do on a daily basis? A lot of people model my organizational tips. A lot of people come to me for advice. And a lot of my colleagues and people I've worked with or I've associated myself with professionally, they always seek advice from me in a lot of different capacities on just how to be more efficient and to be a little bit more effective in the workplace. And I really enjoy thinking about this. And I even asked my colleagues recently about what they do on a daily basis. And believe it or not, some were very similar to what I do, and some were completely new ideas, which inspired me to make changes in my own rituals. And I'm going to implement them moving forward because they were really simple and really easy and effective. And I didn't realize that they do this every single day. It improves their just efficiency, and it kind of gives them a nice vibe and flow to how they work and how they get work done. So I'm going to give you 10 tips to help you adapt these rituals into your daily work routine if you aren't already doing it. And let's hope that you do have them, and maybe you just aren't aware, and or maybe you just didn't realize you do these things every single day or most days, or maybe you're looking to find some balance in your workplace. So let's just get straight into it. The first thing I do when I get into my office is I take time to settle into my desk every morning. I do not have appointments straight when I arrive to work because I need those few minutes every single morning to just, I'm here, I made it. And a lot of times, if you work in education, you have early starts. And I know I start really early every single day, but the benefit is we get to end early the workday. However, every morning, I just need that time to just settle in. And this was something I learned probably, in 2008. And Michelle Ponce, if you're listening to this podcast, wherever you are in the world, I credit this to you because when I first started working as a student advisor back then, she mentored me and she told me that she just needs a few minutes every morning. She never books appointments to just settle into the desk. And I can remember this picture in my mind about her explaining this to me. And it never left me. It's something that's just been imprinted in my brain. And I tell people to just have that few minutes to just settle in every single morning, whether that's just organizing your desk, setting your things away. I always like to set my purse away and get all my little things out of my bag and put them on my desk and plug in my computer, have my coffee for a few minutes, turn on certain lights, put all my, things I need for the day out on my desk or nearby. and just settle in. It's a benefit for you and it's a benefit for whomever you're going to help. So take time every single morning to just get into your desk or work environment. And number two, I find building collegiality in the morning for me and my team kind of gets us going for the day. It's just like checking in. We all kind of just settle into our own spaces, and then we all kind of like settle into the workflow of just checking in, seeing how everyone's doing, and essentially just saying like, "How was your evening?" and having small chat. And it's really nice because we work so closely as a team that we are like a work family as well. So building that collegiality in the office, if you are working in a team, is very important. Or if you are a solo counselor, having collegiality maybe with other teachers or your admin, or if you are an independent counselor, just having collegiality with like-minded people who also can, kind of just be someone to just start the day off and bounce ideas off. And I find this really efficient because then we kind of get the chit chat out of the way and then we move on and we say, right, we got work to do, or my first appointment's right now and we got to get going. And it just kind of is a nice ease into the workflow. All right, number three, I like to look at my calendar to see what is happening for the day. This helps me gauge my day and manage any upcoming task or my workload. And for me, I prefer being organized, and I'm not a person, I'll be honest, I'm not a person that likes disruption or abrupt disruption, I should say. Um I don't think anybody does really, but if you thrive on that, that's great. But for me, I like structure to my day, and I kind of like knowing what's coming up and why students or people are making appointments with me so I can be prepared well in advance. I find that if I know what's coming up and in between my appointments, I'm able to prepare or look something up or check my records or look through previous emails or conversations and just kind of get things organized. So that helps me set up the workflow and the work day. Now, number four, I also like to skim my emails and quickly delete ones that I know are just spam. Sorry to people that probably spam me all the time, but ain't nobody got time for that when you're busy and you got a big caseload and you have a lot of appointments all day. We just don't. I'm being very honest. And if you're a counselor and you're listening to this, or you're somebody who works in a school, you know what I'm talking about. It's just you can't read everything. It just becomes too much. So I like to skim my emails, get rid of things really quickly I know are definitely not important. And I like to just make sure that I can create a sense of urgency and pin things at the top so I can get to those as quickly as possible and then um, kind of prioritize what comes next. So that helps me also stay a little bit organized. And I realize my colleagues also kind of do these same things. And it just also helps us kind of just work smarter, not harder, I suppose. The next thing I like to do, and so do my colleagues, we all just like to create a cozy office environment. I kind of mentioned this in the first point, settling into your desk. But some people, like my colleagues, they like to put like a certain pad of paper out with a special pen, or like they like to turn on their little desk lamp, or they like to play like smooth, like relaxing music in the morning to create a nice, welcoming environment for themselves and for whoever comes into their office. And I think that's really important actually to have an inviting environment because when you are working with people, environment does help people feel better. There's that energy exchange. And I know that when I walk into an environment that's very inviting, it can calm me down or it can make me feel like just more relaxed. And being a counselor or being somebody who's an helping agent, environment is very important. And I know sometimes maybe we're working with our students through distance learning. And so it can be a little harder, but if you can have people come into your office at this moment in time, at the time of this podcast recording, fantastic. Create that welcoming environment. Make the room set up in an inviting way if you can, if you have the space for it. And it can really make a difference. Number, I think six, I'm on. Um, this is something I learned from one of my colleagues, and I started implementing this, and it seems to be a little more efficient. And I'm going to continue using this tip that she gave me. And essentially, what she does is she opens two browsers on her computer. She keeps all the tabs up she needs for the day, but if you're in a comprehensive role like myself, where maybe you're doing college university applications and then you have like other spreadsheets about DNF lists and social emotional accommodation plans that you have to create and things like that. You want to keep all these things separate. It can start to get overwhelming when you have a bazillion tabs open at the top and you can't even read it. It's like the tab is smaller than your pinky nail. I personally do not like having that many tabs open. I start to get really overwhelmed. But when I open up two different browsers and I keep it topic related, I feel like this will be really helpful. And this is a little bit more of an organizational tip, but it's also something I'm going to implement every day at the beginning of my day. Number 7. Now, I think this is really important, especially if you are sitting all day long, or if you're a person who is at a desk on a computer in any profession. Have lunch away from your desk. I know that this can be really hard, especially if you don't block off time to have lunch. This is something that I've made a non negotiable many years ago, especially in my early days of counseling. Having lunch away from your desk or even your office and getting away for even just 15-20 minutes can really do a lot of good for you, right? Especially if you're busy all day and people are pulling you in different directions. Taking a few minutes for your own well being just to eat a sandwich or something quick will be really helpful for you so you can come back and continue being productive. I'm sure there's lots of studies out there. I'm not going to try and like quote any, but look it up. Think about like big companies that try to provide these like breaks for their employees. Their productivity goes up quite a bit when they have proper breaks and rest and things like that. So have lunch away from your desk. Right now, enjoy the weather wherever you might be. If it's cold outside, just go somewhere in your school or in another part of the building and find a cozy place to just look out the window and admire the scenery around you, or go sit in a classroom with another colleague and get to know them, or have a working lunch, but again, maybe away from your office and but not on your computer. So again, maybe you're still talking about work related things, but you're not on the computer, you're just having discussion, things like that. This one I learned many years ago, when I first started out as a counselor, and we've implemented this into our calendar where we literally block it off and make time every single day to eat, essentially. So, all right, number 8, block off time on your calendar to get work done. I have this every day, and so do my colleagues. When you are in a helping role, things do come your way that can be pressing and can derail everything you've planned for the day. That does happen from time to time. And knock on wood, it doesn't happen often, but it can happen and it can derail all the things that you've planned. But that's part of the job. But if you don't have that and you have like just a normal workflow to your day, block off time to get things done. I think there's nothing wrong with this, and it can create more efficiency in how you are productive and getting tasks done. This is a ritual that I have and I find it really effective, and I encourage you to book it during a time maybe where students are in class and they can't necessarily have access to you. Obviously, don't book off this time when it's break and they have time to come see you. Book it in a time where you know it's not going to be like a break or a time where students need to come see you. So that's another tip. Number 9, this one is something that I don't do, but I do something similar. Move emails to different folders once you reply to them. Um, and I like to label my emails, and I like to like move them around a little bit, but I don't move them to different folders. It depends on what you work out of, whether it's Gmail, Outlook, or any other type of email system. But I also try to leave my inbox with little to none emails every single day. I think this is important because if you're not able to get through your emails, um, there's something systematically that you need to work on in order to be a little more efficient with either replying or working through it. Because you shouldn't be replying to emails at 6 p.m. about something outside of work hours unless it's an emergency or your boss told you you needed to do it. But that's that you shouldn't be doing that, in my opinion. And I'm not here to tell you what to do, but these are suggestions that will help promote, I think, a little more happiness in your work-life balance. And if you can leave your inbox with little to no emails unopened, I think you will feel more just like you've gotten through a lot of things. And like I said, I've started actually like unsubscribing to a lot of things. I don't know how my email address gets out there. I know I've worked with many different types of people over the years. And they have access to my contact details, and they send me a lot of like information on things and just stuff that is not really going to help me, or I'm not really going to take the time to sit down and read it. I'll be very honest. We're all honest people here in this podcast. So I just delete it. I get it out of my life. I don't have time for it. And I don't need it. I don't need it lingering in my inbox. So unsubscribe, delete, move, whatever it is you have to do, and you'll feel much better. And it's actually satisfying. It's a satisfying ritual to have 0 unread emails in your inbox. All right. Number 10, I've kind of tied this into another one, but play music to keep you in a calm atmosphere while working. For me, I don't really have like a soundproof work environment. I know it sounds weird to say, but I don't really have like a soundproof work environment. It can be a little noisy at times, so I put ear pods in. Of course, I don't keep them in when I have people in front of me, but I find this really helpful to just kind of have some productive music on, like just instrumental, and it kind of keeps me kind of calm and at bay with all the work that I get tasked with sometimes, or that I add to my to-do list. And it can keep a really calm atmosphere for myself. And then if I choose to, I put it on for my students as well. But because I don't really have a soundproof environment, it can be a little I guess, contradictive to creating that kind of atmosphere. But if you have that, I encourage it. Students actually like it sometimes. And I know that my colleagues do it, and a lot of times they get compliments on it. Obviously, don't play things that are inappropriate. Play things, like I said, that are instrumental, relaxing, and create a nice atmosphere. So let me know if you are doing any of these daily rituals, because I'm really curious to know what other people are out there are doing. You can leave me a comment on my Instagram, write me at wellrounded_consulting on Instagram, and I would really love to know. And I always love receiving your direct messages, your DMs. So please, please, please let me know, one, where you're listening from and what you do on your daily rituals. If I haven't mentioned it, I would love to know. And make sure you're following me on my YouTube channel. That's also another fantastic resource I have out there. And I did create a website that's also in my link tree, which you'll be able to find on my Instagram. And I have lots of exciting guests coming up in the podcast, guys. I've been at work trying to brainstorm and bring you new, delicious, amazing content to keep this podcast interesting, diverse, and just kind of like expand the idea of this well-rounded counselor. I know I talk a lot about school counseling, but I'm trying to bring you a variety of guests that are counselors in their field, and it may not be school counseling, but there are transferable skills. So I'm really excited to be bringing these people to you, and some more amazing topics that I have in the works. So again, so lovely to have you a part of this podcast. And I am so thrilled that you have been following this journey with me and been with me since the beginning. Please, please, please take 5 seconds, leave me that rating. I would so sincerely appreciate it. And I will catch you all on the next episode. Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today.